name's Sulaiman Lee, and I'm the co-founder of Black Child Promotions, and we're an organisation that promotes literature and education in the community. I'm from Tottenham. My first address was Broadwater Road, and that was in 1984, and then I moved to more N15. So even though I was from N17, from an early age moved to N15. And my mother, she was very cultural. My dad was like a pioneer in the reggae music. He's a man called Bunny Striker Lee. So like he had legendary status within like the reggae industry. So I grew up around a lot of culture. There's a time where I was like very rebellious, you know. So obviously going through adolescence, you know, I gave my mom a lot of problems and stuff. So I was sent round to my uncles for discipline. But when, you know, that took its toll, my mom sent me out to Jamaica for a year, you understand, like to go to school over there and stay with some of her good friends. And I remember, you know, this was around like, you know, 1998 times where Sizzler was first, you know, when I'm not talking about the new school Sizzler, I'm talking about old school Sizzler, Black Woman and Child and so forth. And I remember waking up in the morning and there used to be some rastas, you know, outside of the house that I was staying, and they used to get up early in the morning and start cooking and putting on, you know, Sizzler Kalonji and, you know, different reggae artists. And the lyrics that they were talking about within the music, you know, like black liberation and, you know, the soulful sound of how they were putting the words together. I remember that was the point where I was like, you know what, I want to learn more about not just Pan-Africanism, but Rastafari as well. So coming around, you know, being around that environment, you know, from an early age, when I came back to England now, I was kind of reformed in some ways. You know, even though I was a bit troubled still, I was still, you know, reformed in the way that I was embracing my culture more than rebelling against it. You understand? And I had like a new sense of identity as well. So basically, around about 2002, there was a sister called Esther Stamford, yeah, who still does work on reparations. And she said that at the time, she was kind of impressed with, you know, the way I spoke and, you know, the way I articulated myself and my passion, my newfound passion for history. So she invited me. At the time, she was with an organization called the Society of Black Lawyers. And in 2002, she invited me to an NGO, non-governmental organization conference that was dealing with reparations. So I remember at that conference, there was also meetings between different people, different workshops as well, that to do with what they think reparations means to them and ways of moving forward. So in a youth delegation, I managed to see people from Barbados, people from Jamaica, people from America. You know, a lot of these people I'm not in touch with anymore. But basically, what I pledged to do was to go into the community and, you know, try to disseminate information in regards to African culture, African history, African pride, you know, black power, and not in a way that's anti-white, but a way that pushes, like, you know, a Pan-Africanist agenda of unifying African people, you know, worldwide, and just being a soldier in that cause, basically. So I pledged to do that in 2002. Right, in 2002, when I came back from the conference, so I was, you know, invigorated. I wanted to, you know, learn more. Even now, you know, I'm still into learning. And I joined a course which was a 1-year course that could get you into university. It's called an Access course. So it was in a music business, but it's transferable. I could get into like Middlesex at the time in 2003. So at the same time that I was going in doing the university thing, I was also had a job with a guy called Mikey, who had an organization called Groundings, and he had a shop inside Seven Sisters Market. So being around that environment now, it was good for me because, you know, you leave university, you know, you go to, you know, work in a community, you know, selling CDs and posters, and so it's a place where it's full of culture, you know. It was another learning environment for me. So at the time, I I was working in the shop. One day, he said to me, you know what? Go out on Ward's Corner, which is outside the hair shop next to West Green Road, and promote the shop from there. So that was the first time in like around late 2003, 2004 that I started going on the corner. So basically from that experience, I started, liking the corner because, people come, you start, conversing with different people. And I was young, I was like 19 at the time when I first went out on the corner. And, there was other people there as well. Shout out to Brooklyn Nuba, who at the time was called Nuba the Nubulator. He had a shop inside the market as well at one stage. And he's still there today, and he's been there from the 90s. So when I reached there now, he, at the time he used to show me the ropes, have music playing in the background, and giving me different perspectives on life. So being around that type of environment just was positive. So I remember one day Brother Uhuru from Omega FM and my uncle Lasana came up with a concept called Black Child Promotions, and the logo was basically a young child, a black child, taking a big number 2, sitting in a sitting on a colonial helmet. The colonial helmet they used to, sitting on the colonial helmet, and that symbolized the black child taking a big number 2, a big dump on a colonial helmet, which means they're taking a dump on white supremacy. They're taking a dump on oppression. You understand? And a negative self-image, and they're taking a dump on an inferior complex. You understand? That has been imposed on them from society. You understand? So, that was the creation of Black Child Promotions. So we've been using the name ever since. Yeah. So basically, in 2010, we started upping it a gear. Basically, going around to different locations, different events. We did Wembley Market, we did Church Road Market, we went to Peckham, passed through Brixton. We just started going to different locations, different events with our educational CDs and educational DVDs. But we did it within a spectrum of African culture. You understand? So even non-Africans that wanted to come to the table and purchase and support, it was strictly African, basically. You understand? So what we found then is that we went through years and years of persecution by the trading standards and so forth, and also the police force. They will either give you a fine, confiscate all your stuff. We went through years of this in Tottenham, going through years of it. Even sometimes my friends would be there, and they would see the struggle, but they've been with me at the time and seeing police roll up on me and being like, you can't do this and all this type of thing. So a lot of people have seen it, you understand, what we've been through. So recently, I would say around 2015, the police came up to us on Seven Sisters, and we know the drill already. So we said to them, we're doing educational DVDs, and they talked about copyright infringement and so forth. And I said, but these are specifically African DVDs. You understand? People like Asher Kwesi, these scholars, we know them. He wouldn't want the police to come and arrest us for publicizing his works. So the police at this time said to me, we don't have a problem. I remember a policewoman said, we don't have a problem with you providing the community with African literature and black history and stuff for black children and stuff like that. But we want you to do it in a legal way, supposedly legal way. Yeah. So we want you to do it where, you're selling original material. You understand? So what I did is I looked at all of the comments, and then I decided, I'm gonna change the way I do things. Instead of educational DVDs, I'm just gonna consult with Uncle Pepperkai of Pepperkai Book Distributions, who I grew up with anyway, and put a proposition to him that we start working with him. And instead of doing DVDs, we just do books. So doing the books, a lot of opportunities started coming our way. Like one of my cousins called Leonidas, the realist, he is an educated brother from long time. So he came in with me and started helping me with the books. Because obviously when we don't drive, we just like in Jamaica, we just wrap up the boxes. Even if you have to get a couple boxes from Tesco's and buy a trolley from Quick Fix and just wrap up the trolley and take it on public transport, just wraggle, we don't care. You understand? We're starting from the ground up. We've been doing this like even from way back, 2004. We know about heavy lifting and going, even people looking at you like you're mad, like what are you doing? You got a portable home or something like that, like people looking at you crazy. But really a lot of people respect it because they see brothers working together and the struggle, they can identify with the struggle as well. So another cousin came to work with me, Noel Kerr, and so it was me, Leonidas the realist, and Noel Kerr. So we now are Black Child Promotions, and what we do is we disseminate information with books that we get from Pepperkai. So we don't do DVDs, we're not even doing DVDs on the side as well. We're just doing books, that's what we're focused on. The other things we might do is a little posters on the side or some incense or frankincense or something like that. But the main objective is to disseminate information through rare literature that people can't see anywhere. You can't get them in libraries, you can't get them in universities, you can't get them in schools. Because what we're saying is that we, not just the children, but how are we going to have a positive self-image if we don't see ourselves represented within the society, within the media, and everything you see is just negative? You understand? Because it isn't uplifting, a lot of stuff that's going on out there. You understand? And it's being forced on us, from a Western media. So there has to be balance, because even if you're going to have some of the foolishness, you also have to have the positive. You understand? The Chinese call it yin and yang. So you have to have the balance. But if it's just one-sided where you're just seeing the foolishness, then how have the youth are going to benefit? They're going to grow up with an identity crisis. So as I said before, from 2002 when I went to this conference, it was always in my mind to just be a soldier in that struggle. You understand? Like even if I'm just posted on the road with books, that's powerful enough to change a lot of people's perception of themselves. Some people just come back from a long day's hard work and they've experienced racism, because obviously you got work politics and so forth. So when you coming back home from work and you come out of Seven Sisters and you see the brothers in the corner, you can come and let off all that frustration because you're like, yes, I need this book. I need, you can let off all of your frustrations on the day, from the day, because you're seeing your own people in a community. So we find that as well. A lot of people come off the train, they're like, they just want to unload. You understand? In whatever way they want, just reason, a place of reasoning. Even if no one wants to, get a book, which is still there reasoning about life, about history, about, Tottenham's always been a place like that. Tottenham's in a place where it's full of autonomous or free-thinking people. So, what we do just complements that, gives people a platform to say, this is what my belief is. It's not the mainstream belief, it's that's why I love being on the street there so long. Yeah, so end of 2015, I took a trip and spent some time in Jamaica with my father and just, went and, regenerated, get some sun, rejuvenate the melanin, as it were. And I decided, when I saw how things were over there and how people had that hustling spirit, that hustling mentality, they have to fight for survival basically. So I said, I'm in a so-called first world country, so I have an obligation to go hard. So when I came back over, I decided, I need to expand. And Elder Pepperkai, who supplies us with the books, also said basically that we're gonna induct you into the Marcus Garvey Foundation, which gives us charity status. So being a part of the Marcus Garvey Foundation gave us the freedom to move around, and because we're working for the charity, so we're disseminating information, and all donations will go back to the charity, the Marcus Garvey Foundation. So, so I remember one time in Brixton now, obviously everywhere we go, if the authorities approach us, we show them, our papers, they leave us alone. But this one time we were in Brixton, and the same guy in Brixton that told me, you need the only way you can operate the way you're operating is if you're a charity. And then he left us alone. But at this time, he usually approaches us alone, but this time he chose to approach us with officers and said, basically, we're going to pack up for you. If you don't pack up, we're going to pack up for you. So on this particular day, we stood our ground. We chose to stand our ground. We say we're a legitimate charity. According to the Human Rights Article 10 of the Human Rights legislation of the European Convention, we have the right to receive and impart information regardless to borders and frontiers without any interference from any public authority. We've also got the freedom of expression and so forth. But he was basically saying it isn't about your human rights today. You either pack up or we'll pack up for you. Then I did a call and answer with the public. I said, have we sold anybody any books? They said, no. I said, look, the community has just spoken. He said, have you got any identification? I said, my charity papers is my identification. It's got my picture and it's got my name on it. And it's also got an explanation of our charity. Again, I'm seeing more and more officers, and they pushed my brother Negus in the back. Cut a long story short, they ended up pepper spraying me and rushing me, and they arrested me on assault of a police officer. And then my cousin Negus has also got a case that's still going on right now, where he's basically charged with obstruction. But even I was NFA'd because the footage shows that I was assaulted. I never assaulted any police officers. But regardless, they still want to, take my cousin to court. And he basically said he wasn't obstructing anything. He was just obstructing. If he was obstructing, he was obstructing a kidnap and an unlawful arrest. So this had a major impact on what we were trying to do. It was publicity, but it also slowed us down. Even though people were like, yes, we heard what happened, that wasn't what we were trying to do. We're trying to start from the ground up, on the streets, posted. And the reason we're posted there is because some people don't subscribe to the conscious community. They don't subscribe to, wearing daishikis and saying Hotep brother and all that kind of stuff. There's people that are interested in African history and that don't wear daishikis, or you'll never see them at these so-called events that people love to, hold. They're on the street, and we tend to reach out to these people that, brother, I've always heard about Malcolm X. Have you got any books? I don't really read that much, but I want to, and you introduce them to the literature. Because what we find is that a lot of people are judgmental of people that don't have locks or don't wear a daishiki or don't say Hotep. You understand? So for me, I find a lot of these events some of them very surface, very, very, very superficial. You understand? A lot of them. I'm not judging anyone in particular, but I'm saying a lot of these events that I've seen all my life, I see the same people, and it's not really reaching the people who's supposed to reach. So that's the reason why we posted out on the street, because we're trying to reach the wider community. You understand? You don't reach people always by preaching. You reach people by acting and just providing. Sometimes I don't even say, especially after this, what's happened with the police, I don't even say, oh, would you like a book? I just stand there. And if people gravitate towards it, you wait for people to come out of the matrix and come to the table. And then you can speak to them and converse because they're showing interest. You understand? So what's happened with the police, it slowed us down for a minute, but we've chose to go back to Brixton. We chose to go back. It was a conscious decision. Even though my family members were like, oh, what if they kill you next time, whatever. But I have a passion for what I'm doing, and I'm trying to, do something which is new, original, and revolutionary. You don't find many people just setting up wherever they want to set up. You You understand? It reminds me of the Chronics song, Capture Land. Because they're the original land capturers, so we need to capture back the land and do what we need to do to uplift our people and uplift the wider community. And it's not to say we want to struggle forever and we're not interested in material gain, but there has to be a balance between material, because humanity comes before anything material. You understand? So what we practice according to the Garvey philosophy is self-reliance. Basically being self-reliant, thinking business-minded. So, you know, you can work how you want to work, independent of their system. Independent where you're not dependent on them for anything. But that takes work to achieve that. And, you know, one day, hopefully, those dreams will be realized.